This is little annoying here. Sorry about the that. I don't know where the music is. I'm just trying to find it. So just stand by it right now. We're figuring it out. Hey everybody, what's up? Um, we're here in TC. TC stands for Team Create. Um, so you know, just checking it out. Um, if you're here, thanks for tuning in. We're just gonna fly around, take a look, and then we're gonna work on a section of the map. So we're here in the town of Samuel. Pretty generic, honestly, town. Passing siding, main, like industry lead, and then team track, and then elevator track. And then of course you got your depot and your platforms. I mean, not like crazy amazing, but just kind of a normal town. Um, you know, some you'd see anywhere, I guess. But got the rank over here, because what kind of Saskatchewan town would it be if it didn't have a hockey rink? Also, sorry if it's a bit laggy. When I try to load in the whole game at once, my computer doesn't like me. It's because there's a lot here, but also just because, big game. There's like some 10,000 little pieces of grass like this. That won't be a lag issue because it'll all be like procedurally rendered, so you won't be rendering the whole game in at once, obviously. And because of that, you should have very, very little issue loading it. But in TC we don't have a rendering script. This is the sort of town, if you can call it that, of Reed Lake. So this is kind of where like, well, this is supposed to be like an auxiliary sort of town to the big city. And it's kind of small, I'd say. You've got British American gas station here. Sorry, oil dealer. This gas station. Just some like lakeshore houses here, and then CPR's got sort of what you might call a depot, and then just a little MOW spur here. And then just a telegraph boosting shack, and we need to do some work over here yet, but hey, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, guys, okay? You gotta give me my props for not being super ready with it. And yeah, it's just supposed to be that kind of small town thing. 1 second. I'm thinking I'm gonna ping the whole I just pinged the TRS server, so we'll see how they like that. I'm gonna have like a bunch of crash outs in the chat. But whatever. So I've kind of got to work on. There's a little forest scene here, kind of along the lake. It's pretty chill. I don't know. It's based on an actual place called Reed Lake. I literally added an E at the end to make it sound different, because, you know, I'm unoriginal as hell. So instead of Reed, just without the E there, this is supposed to be Reed and then Lake. I added the extra E because that makes it fictionalized, guys. It definitely does. It definitely doesn't, you know, speak to my lack of intelligence or not lack of intelligence, but lack of creativity. And then just got some snow plows here. Obviously, there's no snow on the ground. I like a section of this game to have some winter scenes, or like late winter, early spring scenes with some snow left still. But you know, just kind of, you get to it when you get to it kind of thing. Coming up here, we just got, you know, your usual. This is a pretty big hill for the CPR here. Ruling grade of at most 1%, but usually less. So you kind of come up the hill here. Cut and fill, pretty basic stuff, won't lie. Some cuts here, pretty shallow cuts, like I won't lie, they're not crazy deep. And then this one over here, I made this cool little road bridge scene where there's like a road coming over top, and then this old wooden bridge. This is based on a scene near, it's near Rush Lake, Saskatchewan. So that's where it's supposed to be based off of. And, you know, pretty cool place, not gonna lie. The bridge in question I didn't have any reference for because there is no reference. So I just pretty much had to, like, guess at what it was supposed to be. But hey, I got it, so did the best I could. Yeah, it's just a pretty basic wooden bridge. Like, I made trestle bents and, you know, supporting pieces. It's nothing crazy, but I kind of like it. I think it's a pretty nice bridge. And then cutting forward here, this little, if you can call this a road at all, which it isn't, it's a little cattle underpass, so farmers can lead their cattle under the railway instead of going over. That just makes it a lot easier for them to, you know, ferry animals without having too much drama. Anyways, hi to everyone in the stream, or anybody who's taken up the time to watch. It's appreciated. We love the viewers. Anyways, today I was planning on doing, we're kind of from this bridge here and work along, get some detailing in, possibly do this cut. This is gonna, like, this is get cut on. We'll put an actual cut in there. Just haven't done it yet. And then heading along here, about here is where kind of a cool causeway scene is going to be over part of the shallow Saskatchewan lakes that makes up Chaplin Lake, Saskatchewan, which is the reference point for a lot of stuff we are going to be working on. So, you know. Anyways, Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll head over to the other end of the map, and we'll start from there. We'll do a tour. Oh, just casually tease a different scene. So this is Vanguard. So Vanguard is pretty much for the game when it comes out. These are going to be all of the scenes that you're going to be able to see. So this scene is a little unfinished here, but cool, little river and a bridge, little trestle, and then come across this road here. So this isn't based on anywhere specifically, but this town here is kind of based off of Webb, Saskatchewan, just west of Swift Current. So here you're gonna have your west staging yard, um, you know, decent yard, and then loop, reversing loop. Come across the bridge here, along this hillside here into uh, Vanguard, and then you're gonna have pretty small town in all things considered. It just got a little siding, if you even want to call it that, for the passenger depot, and then an elevator track. Most basic track plan ever. And then just some city buildings. You know, Saskatchewan Growers Association, Dominion Express Mail depot here. It's actually one of CPR's many standardized depots. Um, under the Telegraph. Telegraph switches sides here, but sorry for the lag, by the way. It's a lot to load from a poor computer. My like god awful laptop. So this town sits a bit on the hill, and then you come down the hill here along this sort of long hill. Telegraph wires following your road crossings, and then you come to this lake here. This is just supposed to be some small lake. It's just come up and around. Cool little scene with a little motor car pulled off to the side. Um, and yeah, just some, light foliage. Continue through the farms here. We have a little farm scene. I'm thinking that this is right here going to be where somebody's sitting on the tractor waving at the train or something. Um, I think that'd be kind of a cool scene. And then we come around the corner here, and pretty straight. You got a little drift through here, and then you're into the biggest town that we're going to feature in the game to start. This is West Bend. It's based on Swift Current, like very loosely, um, just on its location more than anything else. So this is West Bend. West Bend has a depot. This is just some of the work we're doing with the Bud cars, and then so you got a pretty nice pagoda depot. Um, I was gonna maybe do something a little nicer here because it's kind of more of a proper town. And usually on the CPR, the bigger towns had more buildings and structures, but for this one, I just kind of went like as basic as possible, which is a solution. It's not a great solution, but it's a solution. So we might end up building a bigger station here, just because it's a little less nice, and not in like a bad way, but more like we could probably build a bigger station as this is a more important town. It also is the intersection of multiple branch lines, and so yeah. And then of course you've got your yard here, your Y, ice house, oil dealer, what you call it, dairy, or like a creamery. Not in the huge industries. Power station for your yard, but then also for the town as well. It's just a small coal oil power station. Um, yeah, then roundhouse, coaling tower, water towers, um, oil stands for your diesels or fuel stands. There's going to be a oil stand for steam locomotives yet. I just have to make the lumberyard, farm supply, and stockyards. These are the stockyards, at least would likely be union, even though they are the CPR stockyards. The Dominion Boot and Shoe Company, which is just a local industry, nothing crazy. And then back here we have the CNR depot, which is currently just placeholdered with this. This is just, I'm going to replace this with an actual Canadian Northern depot. I just have this here as a temporary placeholder. And then back here you've got your team track, yard, elevators for the CN, and then just, kind of generic yard stuff, roundhouse. This is at the end of a Canadian National or Canadian Northern branch line. So it junctions in here with the CPR's, like a branch line to the south here on the CPR. So this kind of junctions in here, and it's supposed to just kind of act as a, like, another railroad you can operate. This will likely branch off one day and have its own branch, possibly connecting up as like a quote unquote second main if you wanted to. But currently it's just going to kind of end here. Possibly have a small staging yard so you can stage CN trains and then run CN trains into this yard as kind of an extra way of having an interchange, as this is what this operates as. Although most interchange cars here are going to be like mostly there's not going to be a whole ton of interchanging here. Um, just because the CN and CP would more interchange their cars in bigger centers, where this is obviously not that. Over back here, depot, team track. I think I covered most of this already. And then you just got your town here. Pretty decent sized town. They have, a little lumber yard here, which is probably fed by the big lumber yard over here that's rail served. The post office, auto mechanic, gas station down here. Got my little brutalist church here. Um, if you're from Saskatchewan, you would know that going to church is like, you know, the it's a thing. It's a thing. It's a big thing here. And then you have, of course, the CPR's elevator row here, which has sort of a small yard, if you want to even call it that. It's just two tracks for the interchange. Um, this yard here has kind of its main section here, which would be for trains that are stopping, serving all of the industries here. Um, and then it has, of course, your passing track, your station track, your main. Um, and the thought process behind that is simply that, this station obviously will have could have two trains at once, but also your trains here for this, they would probably what would happen is, your mainline train might come in, stop, drop off a few cars, possibly switch head end power, but it's not even that big a yard. This is more like a local yard to serve both like Vanguard and Samuel and Reed Lake and Chaplin, all of the towns and branches that surround it. Plus, this also acts as a bit of a branch yard, which will, accept trains off the branch and then marshal them up here to make add on to other trains heading east or west. Most of your grain is going to be heading east, um, because in this era, it's before big trade with China, so a lot of grain was shipped more back to like Britain and the UK through East Coast ports like Thunder Bay or what is at the time called Port Arthur. Um, so that's where a lot of this stuff is kind of heading. Um, so we'll follow the main line east here. Just, casual farming. You come to the first hill here. All of the hills right now have a ruling grade of at least or at maximum 1%. So, pretty big cuts here as you kind of come along the side of the hill. You don't build a railroad into the hills as much as you can, or avoid it as much as you can. So a couple of deep cuts here. Telegraph lines following, another deep cut here. I have a little scene set up here I was taking photos with, so I just have a CPR train here. Wooden trestle over this little river, and, in my opinion, it's a pretty neat scene. Telegraph lines come kind of down there. So you've got a little CPR locomotive, your house here, some farmhouse. Continuing along the main, we follow the CPR sort of through the hills here. Big rolling hills, big like hills on the fields on the hills, not hills on the field. Um, Fields on the hills, little tool shed here, following along. And then we kind of come down the hill here. Again, more big rolling hills, fields, and all of that as we come into the town of Samuel. And then I've already showed off all of this, but just for layman's sake, we'll pass the town of Samuel, which I've already showed off. But come here. We've got a little hill here. This is hardly a hill, like at all. You just plow through it. But some trees next to the lake shore here. And then, of course, the town, if you can call it that, of Reed Lake. Um, it's more like a small hamlet or village, which really doesn't have a lot of people. these are likely not even inhabited year round. These are probably summer homes for more affluent people who can afford to come out here and enjoy the lake during the summer, and then in the winter they'd have a home in the city somewhere. So that kind of thing. I feel like this fence is a little off. Maybe it's this one. We'll just autism distraction. Gotta change the fence because it looks a little off. I mean, better. Whatever. Yeah, there's just some kind of generic homes. We're gonna do a lot of detailing here with some big trees and kind of keep it looking a little better. I mean, I've already done most of the detailing around kind of the CPR stuff here and some of the detailing around the BNA station. This is actually a pretty standard BNA station. I was looking online and like all of them have this exact design. I don't understand what British American was up to, but they literally built like one gas station and then called it good. There's actually funny story. We were looking, me and Ted, and there's a variant of this in a national park, but it's all made out of wood, and it's like looks like a wood version of this. Like the white is all wood, but it's the same exact design. It's just made out of wood, which we thought was hilarious. The B&A, like they didn't even British American, they didn't change anything. They just were like, you know what? Same station, we're just gonna make it out of woods though if it's the national park style, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But so um, sorry, I'm like sort of getting spammed in my DMs, so I'm trying to respond and be like, hey, I'm trying to stream right now, guys. Even though it's such a stupid thing to say. Anyways, we're gonna work on. I mean, it kind of is up to anybody. I don't know if there's anybody watching, but if you guys are interested, we can work on. Um, I see somebody has just jumped in. What kind of locomotives are available at this point that can be seen in this rail yard? Which rail yard are you referring to? I'm sure they're probably referring to the other ones. The one time I closed the live chat, people talk in the live chat. This is always my luck. So, as far as is concerned for locomotives, right now, we have a big roster of steam and then some diesel stuff. So I'll actually we'll go over here because this is where we can see more of the actual roster of absolute bunch of rail cars which just have tossed around. So we have CP FP7s and then or FP7 right here, um, both variants, and then F7 AB sets. There's two variants, one with this Pacifico font and then one with this more or less stylized font. I don't know. We have a Bessemer leaser. These were leasers the CP had in the 60s, like early 60s, at the very end of Steam. So this is actually going to be a Game Pass unit, um, but I guess it's just sitting here. We have FP7s, FAB, um, CPFAs, pretty common standard locomotives. GP9, H16 is a baby train master, and then on RS3. And then as for Steam, we have a CN G16A. It's just a little generic 10-wheeler. We have a CPR Selkirk. However, this locomotive is not accurate to the region. These only ran as far east as Alberta, as they are mostly mountain locomotives. So this locomotive, for now, is not going to be in the game. However, we have other locomotives, 2816, and stuff like that that are going to be coming in. Don't mention the New Haven locomotive. That's not in the game. It's just for here for shits and giggles. And then we just have some standard, like small power for the CPR. As it sits right now, the game isn't that big, so a lot of this power is going to be kind of standard because we just don't have any replacement power. So a lot of it is just going to be this kind of smaller power that isn't really going to see, no, it's not going to see the light of day, but this power isn't just not going to be, how do I word this? Like, it's just not going to be your mainline stuff. And so currently we're working on more mainline power that will run, your big freight trains and passenger trains cross country. But I'd like to think we have a good diversity of stuff. Oh, I should probably remove that. But yeah, we just have some. These are bad cars. These are old, and frankly, not great quality cars that I need to replace. Um, and I've been in the process of replacing. Um, wow. So vulgar language, guys. I know. But yeah, these are all being replaced. Um, lots of grain elevators. If you don't know already, I love grain elevators, and so I've done my best to keep these accurate to the style, but also accurate to what they look like in real life. Because I feel like a lot of people mess them up and do them wrong. So I have tons of old photos from the 40s and such of actual grain elevators, and I know like a very big amount of stuff about them. They are a huge, huge part of this game, and they will be for a lot of other games that I have or other sections of this game. So I have to make sure I get them right. As you can see here, we have stuff like elevator annexes, which were really common at the time. Before kind of bigger elevators, one elevator could fill at most 11 rail cars. Like this right here could fill 11 rail cars at once. Um, so, if this can only fill 11 uh, 40-foot cars, then you're going to need obviously a lot more elevators, but then also annexes to increase the capacity of these elevators. And these were a really common thing in the 50s and 40s as elevators, trains got bigger and they needed to keep up, but they didn't want to build new big elevators. And oftentimes, they wouldn't replace these elevators until even as late as the 1990s when they were all torn down. So, you know, a lot of this stuff really lasted into the rest of the uh, the century, I guess. Yeah, because it wasn't until the 90s that they replaced them all. Some still exist, and I do have photos of lots of existing elevators, but most towns these days have lost, unfortunately, a lot of their elevators due to just age or them being torn down. Yeah, so that's just kind of an interesting piece of knowledge. Yeah, so I think we'll start out by actually getting some work done now, and cooking away at the town here of Reed Lake, which sits roughly close to the river, and we'll keep it keep her going, keep her cooking. So pop up on our brush tool here. This is a great way to get trees and grass and shrubbery in, and even cows. This is just honestly an amazing tool. I super recommend it to anybody who's interested in making games. It's a lifesaver, dude. Like I don't know that I would have been able to make this game if I didn't have this kind of stuff at my fingertips here. And I don't want that. I want the stamp tool. Um, yeah. So I use the stamp tool a lot, kind of for more placing stuff like trees, because then you can just kind of individually select where they're trying to go. However, I'll just do it over here. If you're just trying to place something like, your grass or something, then you can just use this brush and it'll just automatically paint it in for you. But, you know, I have no business for any of that, so we've already done the grass through this section, and we'll probably be working more over there. This hasn't gotten grass yet, but yeah, we'll get there. So we're just gonna place some trees. Kind of just want to be like a little random with your tree placement. Or a really good way to think about it is like oftentimes if you're trying to build a forest or something like that, or trying to do like a little cluster of trees, you're gonna want to do what's called the rule of three, where you're gonna want to place three or three or odd numbers of trees. So you'll see that over here, like for this forest, did like a little group of three and then one, and then you know this is five and then three. So like if you keep it, or this is technically two actually. My brain is not on, but there's three bushes here, and like you just want to try like odd numbers for some reason or whatever reason looks just more realistic. For what I don't know what the reason for that is, but it's just the honest truth. And then also you want to have a lot of different kinds of trees, but that still fit together and would be realistically local to the area you're trying to model. Here we have some kind of generic spruce trees and some big oaks and walnuts and stuff like that. And then over here we just have these like splendidly little birch trees, which are really common on the prairies. And then combined with some big bushes, grass, and this is just reeds for the lake. But combine them all together, in a sort of cohesive way, and it actually looks really well like a forest. All of our trees are custom built for us, like I made them myself. So, they uh, they do fit the style that we're going for with this game, which is supposed to be a slightly less detailed game in the sense that or not less detailed, but less realistic. A lot of everything that we've made is kind of cartoony somewhat, and that's just so that way the game um, can still have all of its parts and make it look still kind of like what we're trying to go for, but um, with the level of detail, but still be playable because it's Roblox. And if we don't do that, then it'll crash out. Um, it's really hard to optimize on Roblox. There's like a lot of different ways we can do it. Um, but just because of that, we like to try and do our best to just keep extra leggy stuff out of the game wherever possible. And a big thing that we do with that is we often just you know we what you call it um we've done like with this game, we've made everything a lot less detailed, the parts, but added lots of stuff to make it look more detailed. Here I'm just using these small little spruces to make this look like this is, obviously this is not a natural planted, forest. These trees would have been planted by the owner of this property to kind of fence it off. This is really common. The winds here in Saskatchewan, especially in the winter, can get really high. So having these big trees and stuff surrounding your property or in between fields stops things like, big gusts of snow and stuff. But at the same time, these big trees would often defend against like dust storms. And so in the 1930s, um, during the Great Depression and big droughts, there's something that was called the Dust Bowl, and it basically was just there was no such thing as doing tree work like this with big tree windbreaks, and because of that, big winds and stuff would pick dust and stuff off the fields really easily, and then blow it across the whole prairies. Um, which often, smothered your crops and was just bad for everything. You know, it's not nice to be around big, dusty, sandy, you know, that's not what you want to be around. So this was a, thing devised back then, and honestly does a very good job of covering up your property from any harmful, you know, harmful winds and stuff, and really does work well as a windbreak. Plus, poorer insulation in homes would mean that big trees and bushes would often act as a, way to slow that wind down and then, you know, stop it from attacking the sides of your house, blowing your house over. Um, so this is a very common thing you'll see out here in the prairies. Just continue placing trees here. We like to keep our properties nice and usually at least we like to keep the properties with lots of diversity of trees. I mean, if you look at the same tree model like a bunch, like this here, obviously I've done this on purpose to make it look like somebody's purposely planted the same type of tree. But um, we like to usually keep it a little more how to word this, like try to keep some diversity up with your trees. It just makes it look a lot better. And then, this guy really likes his trees. Yeah, and it's just kind of about that whole trying to keep up with the, you know, decent style. And then again, this is a rule of like three, and then or odd numbers. It's actually stolen from Inner Urban Era, if you know who that is. He's a really great modeler, and a lot of things from model railroading can be taken over to Roblox um, when you're building games. It's a huge, huge help, and I honestly suggest that anyone trying to make a game really look into it because it's really, really a lot of the principles that you use there you'll use here, or just interesting things to think about. So I really suggest it for anybody who's interested in modeling stuff on Roblox. And just like that, we've changed this whole area into being a lot nicer, honestly, and just looking more like a bit of a town instead of just a, you know, location. a nondescript location on the prairies. And then here I'm just going to do a little forest just to kind of complete this and use this also a bit of a scene block so that when you're on the railroad and you're looking around, down the tracks here, the scene will you won't see as much of this gray open expanse, um, which honestly helps a lot. So for these birches, I really just like to kind of splam them around and then just input with a bunch of, because they're kind of small trees, but when you put them together a bunch, they really do look like one cohesive sort of forest, which gets the look across really well. And just like that, you just have a nice birch grove. If you've ever seen a birch forest, they do actually kind of look like that. So it's a pretty decent, in my opinion, pretty decent way of making them look, you know. And then of course you're gonna want some bushes here. Oh yeah, just kind of tree tail it up. I mean, this is really the best way, in my opinion, to make scenes look just a little more complete. Tree tailing, that's what I like to call it. It's, detailing with trees. It's a little lazy, I won't lie, but it does honestly do a good job at sort of hiding the imperfections, but also making these places look more lived in and also more complete. A lot of trees you'll see on the prairies are usually only found around towns, especially in this era, because most of the land had been, for the last couple hundred years, had been homeland of the buffalo, and a lot of trees or forests that did exist had been, killed off. Um, so when the buffalo eventually died off, there was, and we developed all of this land. All of a sudden, there was a lot more space for, these big trees and towns, and people placed these trees around their towns for the reasons that I talked about before. And so because of that kind of, you had this almost dramatic change where you had all of a sudden trees everywhere. And to this day in the modern era, you know, a lot of places where historically there were no trees have a lot of trees now, and there's whole forests because of the way that, you know, over the years, these trees have been grown and planted and imported from Europe or wherever. And so now, you have these big forests all over the place, and people are like, oh, why is there a big forest there? And a lot of it used to not exist, but the reason that the forest is there now is because of, you know, humans' interaction with the land. Holy, I went native there. um, but yeah, looking good, looking good. Actually looks pretty nice there. I kind of like that little bush and tree on the edge there. Hmm. Kind of liking the way this looks here. Feel like we could probably do a little more. Just thinking about what we should do to do more. Questionable things. Hmm. Well, we have to put some sort of building here. I'm not actually sure what I want here, so I might just leave this open for now. I just have this part here to just kind of showcase that I want a building here. I was thinking about possibly another house or possibly like a store or something. Little country store. So, not sure yet. We'll probably do a couple trees right here. Just because you want to balance your scene. Like this is really heavy to the left side right now. So I think putting some trees here will kind of balance it out a little more. And just overall make the scene look little less like, um, little less heavy over to this side. Because right now it really does look very, you know, one way, leaning one direction. And no, I'm not talking about the band. I just saw my friend sent me a photo that says apparently the stream is streaming City Skylines 2, which no, it is not. Um, obviously, this is Roblox Studio. I do not know why it says City Skylines. That is very funny though. I guess YouTube doesn't understand the difference between Roblox and City Skylines. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you can see that the video is clearly not City Skylines. I do have that game, but I'm not playing it. Although I have my own gripes with City Skylines. We need more mods. How am I supposed to build stuff like this? Actually, honestly, I really do love building stuff like this. It just, there's so much freedom with Roblox, like in the shapes and the buildings and stuff you have to build. The only bad thing is really that you have to do it yourself. Like, that's the only sort of not fun thing is that you do actually have to do every little thing yourself, um, or install a lot of brush tool and stuff like that to make it easier. But honestly, the results are tenfold, and I can't complain. It just you know it looks so good. You can't argue with can't argue with greatness. Um, hmm, good there. We'll come up with this building here. I'm really not sure what I'm gonna do there, cause it just don't have anything there. Making Reed Lake the town a little better here. Oh yeah. Also, right now I technically have it in the view in the like the photo mode, or is what I like to call it. The FOV is really low because it makes the photos and such look better. But I can crank it up to 70. This is what you usually work with, is this right here. I just usually have it on 30 because then I can, you know, it looks a lot more like you're actually seeing it um, through like the lens of a camera, which honestly does, in my opinion, look a lot better. So good way to good way to see the stuff. Moving up the line here, I think we're gonna just kind of leave this alone. I have some work here to do with like fences and such, but really fences is not the like creme de la creme of building, so I'm sure nobody wants to see you build fences. Um, you know, it's just it's kind of like basic details that we'll add on later. So we'll move up the line here. Um, actually, I need to steal no, not from here, from over here. I need to steal my embankment pieces, which have been unioned all funky. Oh, how awesome. There we go. That's all I need. What the heck? There we go. Much better. That looks less silly. Okay, we'll start over here at the end of track by scaling this out to, where does the curve start? It starts right here. A little bit of studio lag there, but that's okay. So there's some sort of weird part stuff going on with this game right now, and I'm really not sure what it is. Like I don't get it. But hey, you know what? Can't complain. I'm having fun, so just dragging out these parts here, working on sort of the embankment that'll come around this corner, under this hill, and then down that way. Over here we'll have more fun. We'll actually build like a causeway and start on the town of, well, I mean, the real town's called Chaplin. Um, now, I'm not gonna call it that because I don't know what to call it yet. And actually, and if you guys want, we'll take a little break in say 20 or 30 minutes here, and then when I come back, we'll go to like the inspiration station if you want, and we can go actually check out what these places look like in real life using Google Maps, um, to kind of showcase that these are real places that I'm building, and they're not just like some made up little town. As as fun as that would be, I'm just sort of fictionalizing them and giving a rough estimate of what they actually are because I don't want to build things one to one. That's a personal thing. I hate building one to one. It's just kind of boring. It's like, no. no choice in what you build then, and you're just kind of forced to build like real stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, like yeah, like you get to see what actual places look like in Roblox, but like you know, if you make it your own and you kind of like fictionalize it a little bit, like you can make it like roughly what it is in the real world, but then by somewhat fictionalizing it for yourself, um, you know, then it's more interesting for you to build at least. And I honestly think that's a great way of doing it. Like base it on a real place and get like get the vibe down and make it look and feel the same. Possibly if doing railroad stuff, have the same industries or similar industries, but then make it your own. It doesn't have to be the same layout. It doesn't have to be the same place. It's a game, and you're the one who's building it, so make it your own. You know, that's my, I guess, psychology on building games on Roblox. Shout out to all of the viewers on right now. There's a whole three of you. If you guys want to say hi, I'll say hi back. I'll give you a shout out in the stream. Uh, this is pretty tedious work, I won't lie. Like this kind of sucks. Um, but this is how you slowly build around these corners here. And like I said, it does take time. But honestly, it's the results of a lot of this stuff are really great. Like, sure, this takes forever, but it looks really good and it makes the game, accurate and realistic. So like, I mean, I don't really care. Also, apologies if you can hear some like stomping around upstairs. Um, right now, my family is obviously in the house. We had our first snow of the season, honestly. That's like so crazy. It's October and it's already snowing. Although I have no business to talk because it's literally snowed in June before. So like, who am I? What am I saying, bro? Like, this this is not even that bad. I think it's gonna be gone in the next couple days too, which sucks. That didn't stop me from getting a big hunk of snow and throwing it at my little brother while he was sitting on the couch. Amazing, amazing troll. 11 out of 10 jest. How's everybody liking the music, by the way? I don't know. Good volume, I hope. Decent jazz. It's literally from a playlist. I made a playlist like 2 or 3 years ago for streaming called Stream Songs. And it's literally just a bunch of like, I don't know if they're no copyright music or just music that I liked, but they're just songs that I just play over the background of the streams. Honestly, it's just some generic jazz that I found. Some big band. I'm pretty happy with the music choice, but I don't know. Maybe you guys are like jazz haters or something. Jazz is the worst kind of music. In which case, you have horrible music taste. Just kidding. But I love jazz, so. You like jazz? Who says that? Barry Benson from the B movie? See what I mean? I lined it up to there, but this says it's wrong. It's so weird to me. Oh, actually, I know what that is. Because right here, I changed the grade. This isn't one of the weird Roblox bugs. This is something that I did. I forgot that I did, though. Oh, wrong way. Just working on the grade. Man, sometimes my computer just absolutely like tanks. The frame rate will be like fine, 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 and then I look one way and it's just like death. No, why you do this? Why is this being so funky? See what I mean? Like this is computer is tweaking out. There we go. Just drag it along perfectly straight. Yep. Apologies for the random field stuff here. This is my field measuring tools for measuring out where fields should go, which obviously I haven't done yet, like placed any yet, but it's it's based on a bunch of like historical stuff, which I'll showcase later. We can talk about it later. Um, but it's basically based on the Dominion Land Act and the following surveys, which split up Canada's fields into a very, very specific layout, which across the whole country of Western Canada, like all of Western Canada, which is what this is all supposed to represent. I just haven't, you know, put it together yet. Anyways, this looks pretty good. Oh, big yawn. Holy, maybe I should sleep more. Ha, just kidding. Who does that? I guess we're gonna get the other part here because we'll build around this corner. Where is the? There we go. Probably have to go back under here and do this when we put the grate in, but or the cut in. But that's Teddy's job, so we'll wait on him. Also, for those of you who don't know, Teddy is my co-dev. He and I have built pretty much everything here by ourselves, apart from the locomotives, which I pay people to do. Pay a lot of money for, but we're the ones who like put all of the scenery together. Now, I'd like to think I did more of the work, but like really, realistically, no, I didn't. What the heck? Okay, we're gonna just. We're just gonna send that way because I don't want to deal with it right now. La la la. My Discord, see on my computer, my Discord says I have a ping, but then I check on my phone and there's nothing. Like it's genuinely rage baiting me. What the heck? I'm getting rage baited. This is not funny. Getting rage baited by my phone is a whole nother level of crazy, but whatever. So, you know. Anyways, get back to work instead of worrying about what. It's probably Drew. Drew's probably sending me messages, but oh my goodness, guys. What the heck? If you know who Drew Early is, you guys should go check out ADNN. That's my props to Drew for his questionably good game. What the heck? I look at my phone for 1 second and then like my computer just tweaks out. But Drew, you got a shout out. You owe me like 10,000 Robux now. Nah, Drew and I have an actually insane rivalry. Even though my game is way better. It's just not released. That's the only difference. Actually, yeah, I take that back. Don't play ADNN. It's a shit game. It's got bad quality and you know. I hate because it's funny. But yeah, we got a crazy rivalry. We're friends, so I can say that. I think. Drew, if you're watching this stream, um, I gave you a shameless plug and then shit on your game, so I don't know what you want from me. Anyways, back to chugging along at the main line here. Yeah, I applied for a builder on a Minecraft server recently. Ted was so mad about it. He's like, "You got a game to work on." I was like, "Yeah, I know, but like I feel like I want to build on this Minecraft server." And Ted was like, "Bro." Now, is he valid for saying that? Like, yeah, but like at the same time, just can I just do what I want, bro? Like, damn. Coming along. This is the straight section here. This is where we're gonna do the cool causeway bit. So I'm actually not gonna build, you know, this elevated stuff here over there because I have a really cool plan for this causeway. Ah, why is it doing that, bro? Manually adjust it. I have placed so many of these like grade pieces. It's actually insane. But it looks so good. Like it genuinely, this makes the grade look so good. It's just really tedious. I could probably just I could probably just group these actually onto the bottom of the tracks, but then I would have to like come back and delete them. which would be equally as no, actually probably wouldn't be. Ah, whatever. Just keep doing it the tedious way. I'm set in my ways. I already started doing it this way. I can't go back now. That'd be, Okay, we'll end the grade here because we're gonna build this as a causeway, like a section of this. So we're gonna have to like cut out where the lake is gonna be, and then we'll figure out what is gonna be grade here. But I have been streaming for a whole hour, and my mouth is killing me. It's super like dry. So real quick, we're gonna take a quick chat, or chat. We're gonna take a quick pause chat, and I'll be right back, and we'll keep going. Alright, I'm back. What's up, everybody? I got my water now, so, I can hydrate. But, here, we'll pop into the scene. Only thing I wanted to do was, real quick, just going to change the stream so that I can show off Opera. Is it showing what I think it is? No, it's not. Why? There we go. Okay, you guys can see all my tabs, but whatever. Doesn't matter to me. My million tabs. Yeah, all just railroad stuff. Anyways, this is Google Earth right now. We are in Reed Lake. So this is the lake that the game is we're basing off. Here now there's the Trans-Canada Highway and stuff. Didn't exist in the 1950s. None of this did. So this is, these two towns here, Morse and Herbert, are basically the basis for Samuel and Reed Lake. Which, like I said, this is the real lake. Just added an E at the end of it. Changes nothing. This is sort of the causeway section that we're building. This is what it's based off. The CPR, actually, you can see the old alignment here used to come up and around. Through here and then down through here, right? The CPR alignment has, through these parts of the country, have changed a million times. So the hill part comes from Morse here up to Chaplin. And that has also had a million, different reroutes and, what do they call it? Changes in alignment. Cutoffs and switches and tracks and easing up the grade. Because the original line was built in 1888. Or, no, sorry, 1885 was when the first line was finished. So between the 1800s to now has been a hot minute. And obviously some things have changed since then. And so because of that, there's going to be different stuff. And obviously they're going to have to change alignments depending on what they need. So, hold on. That's the third fly I've had to kill today. They're just everywhere here. I don't understand what it is. Anyways, regardless, this is the town I'm trying to build. This is Chaplin. Chaplin is really well known because of the salt flats. Chaplin Lake here has been harvested for salt for a really long time, since the 40s, actually, or 30s. So because of that, this is a pretty big industry on the CPR mainline that we wanted to incorporate. Big long spur here for loading cars full of, I think it's just table salt. Then they have another spur in here actually for your, chemical cars to convert all of this here. So they actually grow crystal, like salt crystals on the lake. And then what they do is they come by and they skim it up. Like they have little boats to skim all the crystals off the top of the surface of the lake. Have big piles here. And then here they have some other stuff. I really don't have no clue how it works, honestly. Chaplin also had, of course, its usual town. Grain elevators and the Y, which sat somewhere around here. Was the Chaplin? They had a Y in Chaplin, and on the Chaplin Y there was a stockyard and stuff like that. No sort of locomotive facilities, but it was kind of one of the big industrial towns between Swift Current, which in our game is West Bend, to Moose Jaw. So this is going to kind of be, the game is going to take place from Chaplin all the way to Swift Current and then all the way down to Webb here. Eventually we'd like to go, cross country, but it's a bit of a stretch for now. So we're trying to represent all of this, this whole section here. Now obviously we've cut some towns and places because we don't want the game to be huge, and we want to just kind of focus in on the big stuff and get the idea across. And if we were going to build this one-on-one, we would have done that, but that's not what we're doing. So, we're doing our best to make do with what we have and build towns accurate to what they would have been. So, this is West Bend. Obviously, Swift Current used to have a big yard, roundhouse, and heading south here, you have the CPR's southern lines. So there was a line that used to come all the way out to Simi, and then also came all the way down to East, like uh, Pontiac's here, and then Shaunavon, East End, and all the way down to Valmarie. It came kind of weird around like that. And then from East End, or from Robsar, it came across here into Alberta. And of course, lots of lines kind of serving down here. But also here was where the, if you look here, this sort of line here, this is the old CN alignment. So the CN had a line that came over here from, actually I think it started somewhere over here, possibly Avonlea. Yeah, I think it was Avonlea. Came across through Claybank, through down here, down, I believe up like this, or up like that, because the CPR had another line that actually came north here and around. Like, honestly, it's really confusing because the old lines that used to come around or through here haven't been here, first, for 80 years, and second, they are not documented on hardly any maps, like rail guide, nothing. The only map that I have that actually documents these lines, I know they existed because you can see them. Like if you zoom into some of these places, you can see where the old lines used to run through the terrain. But you look on any maps and it's like, nope, there's never a line there. And you're like, well, there was. They called this Railway Avenue for a reason. So there was lines. It's just really hard to find maps of them and accurate information because they're so buried in, 50, 60 years of lost. So apart from having people in the industry who would know of their existence, you're really strapped for kind of who knows about these rail lines. And because of that, it's kind of hard to find information. And it's also led to us kind of like trying to only build towns that we have decent information on. Chaplin we have information on. Here we kind of just fictionalized it, went kind of, okay, this is sort of how that looks. And figured, attempted to make it look like it did. Swift Current here, like West Bend, I did actually take inspiration from the real town and other towns in the country. So I'm doing my best to build an accurate version of all of this, but it's really hard. Like some of the stuff is, Anyways, we will swap back over to the studio. Awesome. So we can go back into the studio. We'll actually, go strolling around. I see we have a new comment from Mark the Rail fan. Hey Mark, how's it going? Happy to see you. Files in October is crazy. What do you mean files in October? I don't understand what you mean, Mark. He's Italian, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't understand what you mean, Mark. What do you mean files in October is crazy? You gotta fill me in. Anyways, we'll slide back over here to where we were working. So we're gonna build this sort of what you call it, causeway here. Just think about doing it as a wooden trestle or a fill. I'm actually not sure what I want to do. There's no actual photos of what it looked like, so kind of just have to guess and hope we get it right, which isn't great because, how are you supposed to know? But we'll see what we can do. But like, there's no photos of anything of this, so I'm probably just gonna end up, doing what I can to get an accurate reading. Like I said, there's no photos of any of this stuff. Like, it's so far, not lost, but just so far, like, it's not something that I guess a lot of people would have cared about in the era. And so for that reason, they didn't, like, document any of it. So then you're trying to find information on it. It's, like, really hard. I've spent hours looking at stuff to be like, okay, this says it went here, but this actually went here. Wait, and then this says it, okay. That's not even remotely helpful. So finding a lot of this stuff is, next to impossible. Um, so I apologize if maybe people out there do know more than me, and I actually maybe yes, there is people who probably know way more than me on some of this stuff. I'm just doing what I can with like the internet and some photos and stuff I have of what my rough estimate of what this might have looked like, or this would have hopefully been, and then I just kind of go from there because it's very difficult to find any information on most of this stuff. And unfortunately, I guess just wasn't documented when it was around. And I mean, fair enough. Like I'm not going around taking photos of every little niche railroad thing I see, but it would have been nice if somebody would have. What can you do? See, this is a weird thing that's been happening to me. I have these like weird bugs with the silly Roblox stuff, but whatever. I try and fix them. Do my best. See, like this is so weird. I don't understand why it's. Then it's gonna be too high. I don't know, man. Roblox is weird and buggy right now. It always is. Actually, what do I mean right now? It's never not buggy. It always seems to have some weird thing going on, which is never great, but what can you do? Flies, not files. Oh, you said flies. Oh. I'm just not understanding what you're saying. Yeah, so I don't understand why they're like here, but I've been like on like a murder spree. The whole top, so like next to me is a big deep freeze, and like the whole top of the deep freeze is literally just flies that I have, Oh, this is just weird. What the heck? See? It's not it's not actually the it's actually just the realistic pivot of these is just off. It's not even me, it's just the Roblox. Also for if you're wondering, oh well that's so so shallow, it'll be deeper. Honest. I just haven't dug out the spot for anything yet, so it looks a little off, but it won't be. One more? No, we're gonna go. Just trying to get it nice and in the middle there. Yeah, there we go. That's in the middle. Got him. Here, we'll actually go steal the. We'll go steal the Union off of the lake here. But I'll have to unanchor it. Or, yeah. Stealing Unions because I don't want to make another one. It's just wasting my time. It's technically a negate, actually, but oh, whoa. Got sent to the back rooms there. It's elite ball reference. There we go. And then hopefully this shouldn't be... Oh no, it is. Okay. We gotta make sure it's... There we go. I think we're gonna start this kind of like over here sort of thing, and then just move in. Gotta get the alignment on there right. Just go by twos. Sorry for the yawn there. Obviously I did not get enough sleep last night. That's okay though. Who gets sleep? What's that? Um, there's gonna be like a compilation. LTA reads English, and it's just gonna be Mark speaking Italian, and I'm just not gonna understand what he's saying. I have to get back to my other games. I've been working very hard. This is Great White North is kind of been the focus right now of the whole studio. Like me and all the other guys who work for the Roundhouse, we've all been like going crazy on this game. We need to get like some other stuff out, but I want to get this game done. It's not that far from being done. Like the first release isn't as like map wise, because once the map is done, we can really focus on like all of the other bits. So that's kind of what we need to get done. But we need to get there first. We're getting close. But you know, stuff takes time, so Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will this game. I have built a game in a day, sort of. I finished a game. It's more like I finished a game in a day. Me and Ted did. We had this game we were working on. It was like this tiny little module, pretty much. It's actually what the Olympic Peninsula, the OPMRC game on the Roundhouse is. It's literally that game we did in like one day. It was like sort of a challenge between us, like see if we could actually get it done. Because we're, you know, sad and lonely and have nothing better to do with our lives. But we pretty much decided that we wanted to get it done, and we were gonna do it as fast as we possibly could. So we just we pulled an all-nighter and we just got the game done in one day. That's also why it was super buggy on release, because we literally had built it in one day, and then the next day I released it. Well, okay, not the next day. I did actually go through and like test a bunch of stuff first. But I hadn't realized there's as many bugs as there was. So I just figured, I was like, oh, well, okay, I tested it, it's good. I can drive trains on it. Released. It was really funny. Honestly, Ted was so mad. He lost it. But it was kind of a valid crash show, I won't lie. But that game is so funny to me because we built it in one day. Or sorry, no, it was one day. It was one weekend, more like. I'd kind of been setting it up. We'd been like doing like some preliminary stuff with it. But like the actual game itself, we did in one day. Which is kind of a ball knowledge record. It's kind of insane. Won't lie. I mean, it was okay. It taught us a lot, mostly that working fast doesn't actually change anything. I mean, it just means you release not great quality stuff, which we obviously won't be doing again, because I want to release quality games, not like, you know, mid-tier crap. Yeah, I don't know. It was not a great plan. But we did do it. As I make this union here for the short causeway. The causeway isn't actually that big, so I'm not gonna make a big ol' union for it. That'd be a waste of my time. Voila! Now we have a causeway. Or a place for a causeway. Real ones use F3X. Archimedes, my beloved. I do not use F3X, man. F3X is just so like, I don't know, I just don't like it. It's not my thing. It's also kind of broken right now. I've heard from a few people that like the creator or whatever hasn't been updating it, so now like the studio variant, the studio plugin is like broken. All the keybinds are broken. So, whatever. I don't know, man. I don't use it. I wouldn't know. I'm a strictly studio tools guy. I mean, kind of crippling myself. I know that F3X is like a lot easier to work with, but I don't know. It's not my thing. Wait, Mark, you're Italian. What do you think about this like Roman causeway awe? Yeah, I gotta quit. I gotta quit. I'm gonna get like the mafia, the Italian mob's gonna like come by my house. Hey Tony, you know we do the guys like you? I'm in waste management. Voila. Now we have a causeway. It's genuinely so funny that the CPR had this like huge ass causeway just to go on this like one little section of the lake. I think maybe I should almost. I might make it bigger. I might make it a little longer. I don't know. Because I feel like this is not long enough. Like this is cool, but like I feel like it should just be bigger. That's all. Because the real one is sort of bigger. Hmm. Yeah, we're gonna make it bigger. Let's make it bigger. Here, we're gonna go like that. So that way it looks, you know, like it goes off layout a little bit, and then we'll come back in later. The Sierra, like the railroad, like the Sierra Railroad, the one in California. Mark. Ah, I see. Okay, well, I mean, it's kind of a cool railroad, I won't lie. You should send me screenshots on Discord and I'll look at them later. When I'm, you know, not actively being a public media outlet. As in, streaming my silly Roblox creations. Just working on the negates here. Nothing interesting. For all of you estranged viewers. Trying to get this to look more like the real one does, or just like slightly bigger. Because I feel like like the way it was before just isn't big enough. Okay, that's better. And then we're just gonna have this big center bit. Voila. I got all of these. And I gotta union all the outside bits. I don't know why whenever you union all these things together, it gets like such a weird look, but union it to the ground and then it's all fine. So. Okay, union. Ta-da. Oh no, this time it looks normal. I don't know, sometimes it looks weird. Much longer causeway here. Yeah, I like that better. And we'll definitely do more interesting stuff up ahead. But... Actually, just give me an idea. Oh, I've accidentally selected the under bit. Ah. No, stop. There we go. Delete those. Delete this. Ta-da. Causeway. I want to go grab... this. This is what I want. There we go. I feel like this would be kind of a cool bridge to place here. We don't need these big abutments. Or this stuff. This is a cool bridge I built in the past. We'll have the causeway have a nice center bit. Although for this to look good, it kind of has to be kind of high. What's the rail height? We gotta line it up. We got the absolutely insane music going on right now. On today's question of the day, does LTA have good music taste? There's only one right answer to that. It's yes. The jazz goes insane. You cannot change my mind on that. Hey, this song isn't one of my free copyright free songs. I gotta stop the music. Hold on. Guys, we can't listen to that. It's just not. We're gonna go back to the start of the playlist. It's not one of my copyright free, you know, zero sugar songs. Zero sugar. Sorry. I have horrible humor. But I can't have them. You're going to bed soon? Alright. Oh, I guess it is like nighttime over there. It's like what? It's 3 o'clock here? Man. Why do you guys go to bed so early in Italy? I don't know if you can tell, but I'm obviously joking. But yeah. Oh, that's what it would look like? Wait, is that the right height? Yeah, it is. Okay, actually, honestly, no, I'm not against that. I thought it was gonna be like really low. Although I guess no, because the water in here is gonna sit low, so. And actually pretty well. How does that look? Yeah, that's oh no, that's accurate. Okay. Well, that's great. That means that it's pretty well centered here. Stick that there. And then stick this guy right here. And then delete all these guys. No. Okay, and then this here, I need to drag back to right there. I really like that. Just a nice bridge. Little center span there. And I actually might have ended up doing more of this causeway as a as like fill. I'm just not sure on that yet. The songs off my stream playlist are great. Ta-da! I don't understand. Its computer is being a little laggy here. I have a solution. 1 second. The Opera GX sounds are back. They were gone for a little while. Opera GX like, turned them off, and then they turned them back on. I was like, what? Why did you guys have it in the first place? Although the track here will need to be a little, the, the, the ties. Ties might need some changing. Eventually I'll do a stream and we'll actually like test the game. But right now the game actually has no scripts. Or maybe it does. Rust might have added them. I'm not sure if he got around to that. I was saying he should, but who knows. Ta-da! Now one half of the causeway is pretty much done. All I need to do is slap the rails on it and drag these back. And we will actually need some form of abutment, but I don't know what the abutment is going to be yet. Or where it is going to sit. Oh, these are all 1, 2, 4. I could explain all the parts of this bridge if I wanted to. These big stick pieces here, these are the stringers. These basically are like long strips of wood that actually support the track up. Or support like the ties up. And then, well, this here is just a little water barrel. These are just on there so that if anything fiery occurs, then they can put it out. Hence the water barrel. These are basically like supporting beams for the bents. That's what these are called, trestle bents. And then these obviously, the bents obviously actually hold up the bridge. There you go, there's some bridge analogy stuff. The stringers also usually, like on, not on this bridge specifically, but on lots of bridges, they'll actually like curve and stuff with the bridge. They'll be formed into place so that they can curve and slide around and such. Kind of cool stuff, but I know that most people don't find that stuff interesting, so I just don't talk about it. I love bridges. I wanted to be an engineer, like a civil engineer, because I know a lot about bridges, but unfortunately, actually no, fortunately, I'm not going to do that as a career position. I know a lot about bridges, but like, I started doing it as a job, or like doing like the practice training for it as a job, and I really hated it, so then I was like, no. Bridges are a passion of mine for fun, not for work. That's what I figured out. Okay, so this bridge here isn't technically centered, but whatever. This side is wider, so I don't know. It doesn't actually matter that it's centered. I was thinking about putting like a big, proper truss bridge section over there, but it felt like that might be a little overkill for what is a fairly basic section of trackage. And what actually might be cool is actually having some form of grade that kind of splits off this way and on both ends to kind of show where the old alignment would have gone, because that would have been here by now, which I don't know, would be kind of cool. Another cool thing to do would actually be putting some rocks and stuff under here to show that they're like starting to slowly fill it in, but they haven't yet. In the 50s, a lot of the CPR's lines got like their trestles filled in where they could, because it didn't make sense to have these big huge trestles that cost a lot of money to, you know, maintain and upgrade. So they ended up slowly filling in a lot of them where they could and where it made sense. Because most of them had been built either to cross, like where it made sense, obviously. You can't have like filled in trestles everywhere, but in lots of places it was perfectly fine and would do no change to fill them in, so then they filled them in. It would the literally only change that would be made was that it was going to cost them less money, and that was enough for the CPR to go, all right, cutting the head off, we're done. And honestly, like, fair enough, like, trestles aren't cheap. Bridges in general aren't cheap. So the less of them you have, the more money you're going to save. And, you know, the bookkeeping was just good in that way. The crazy part about Canadian railways, passenger service here was like good, like doing well until like the 80s, when they finally decided that. And even then, like, I don't know, America's like passenger railroads had like a huge, they just died off in the 70s and 60s. But like here, we didn't do that. All of our railroads were there just like, yeah, we're good. Passenger trains are fun. We like them. There we are. Back over here so I can grab some. Literally I did all that just to grab like this tile section. And then find out I needed a 3, not a 2. See? The pain, the struggles of being a game builder. Actually, there's no struggle in this. Who am I talking about? What am I saying? I do this for fun. This is unemployment speedrun. It's 11 p.m. for you and you're going to bed? Bro, who goes to bed at 11 p.m.? The last time I went to bed that late? That's crazy. I don't know, maybe it's not. Maybe that's just like normal, but personally, never, bro. Never. As I casually munch on ice. It's like my favorite snack because it's just water, but I'm like hungry. So then I just eat ice. Just ball and let's play. I would recolor the ties on this bridge. Actually, I probably should. I just haven't. Okay, we're gonna, yeah. We're axing it. Ta-da! Okay, we gotta select all these bits now. My chair is extremely comfy right now. Okay, no, not that dark. I'm thinking like that. Like that looks better. I was also gonna remove every other tie plate. I'm doing that just purely out of lag. Otherwise it's gonna be really laggy. I don't need that. Alright, we're gonna finish off this bridge. We're gonna throw some water in this lake, and then I think we're gonna call it quits. For this stream at least. I'll probably keep working on this, but this stream was mostly just boredom, and then also I felt like I should show off some stuff to the community and stay, updated. Anyways, guys, I'll be honest. There will be a lot of stuff coming. Like we have a lot of stuff planned. Me and the boys, the Roundhouse HQ. But we actually have a lot of like cool ideas coming, and we'll be sure to share them. Join the Roundhouse server. We post stuff over there. Join the TRF server. We post stuff there too. Those are like the two big places I honestly can say that we'll post stuff. Usually I post on TRS. I won't lie. But occasionally I'll post stuff on the Roundhouse server too. So, like stuff on the Roundhouse server that I won't post on one or the other. So being in both is just kind of helpful for you guys if you want to stay updated with the projects. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I mean, new subscribers are great. And then I guess, I don't know, have fun. Happy railroading. Keep it real. Don't lie. Do your homework. You kids are smart. Have fun. Get inspired. Build some stuff. Honestly, that's like that's like something that I need to tell everybody. Getting inspired is like the #1 thing about building a game. Like if you're not inspired to build anything, then you're not going to build anything. Like go out there, check stuff out, see what you like, and then build it. Because honestly, that's the real. Go outside, you can find inspiration anywhere. I literally walked around the, downtown of my city for or biked technically around it for like an hour one day, and I felt like so much inspiration to like build certain buildings and stuff. Generally, that means so much more than just explore. You don't always have like I'm $1,000 just like go take an airplane somewhere. But like, you got Google Earth. Go see what it looks like. Go get interested. Read history books. They're like so much to learn. And then you'll be like me and you'll get so invested in a project that you'll like try and find out stuff about places that nobody has documented and has talked about in, you know, 70 years. And then it's like, oh, okay. So this town just doesn't exist in any record books except for this Google Earth, this 3-pixel Google Earth photo that I have from 2017. Honestly. That's like the most truthful statement I've said all day. It's just stupid. Like, genuinely, I've looked for so much stuff before and been like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, I wonder what this was. And then I look it up and it's like, this was a town in, this looks like a town, or this looks like a rail line. What is there any information on it? No. I mean, that's kind of half the fun, because then you gotta like go like digging through your like. I'd like contact the University of Saskatchewan to find some of the references I did. I'm like still working with them to get reference for certain stuff that I'm building or want to build. So, you know. We got the Causeway Bridge. Slide all the way down here. And bada bing. Bing bang. Here. We'll get these the right texture and color and everything. They are not, because they were in a different game. There we go. They're slightly darker, but that's fine. These inside rails here are usually just rails off of like old rails to just slap on the inside. That, my friends, is a pretty nice causeway. I'm gonna add another fire barrel. Like right here. Maybe right here. And we'll slide it this way. Sometimes these had sand in them, but usually there's water. I have some references that say it was sand, but most say it was water. What does this connect to? On this end. What is this? Okay, it is that, okay. It's supposed to go right there. This one here is a little low. Is it? Yeah. There we go. Bing. Causeway Bridge. That looks really cool. Honestly. We should go get a locomotive and take a screenshot. But first, we gotta put water in it. Just gonna drag this water piece over here. Same water piece I used on the other lake, because I'm lazy. At least the one over here is gonna be easy because this section of the lake is just one section. And the water's gonna be way lower. That too. This is done so that way the bottom of it looks like salt, by the way. Because I think that looks pretty decent to the prototype. Anyways. That one over there. We don't need to go too far under here. Just go to there. Try this over here. Wow. Oh, wait, I need to go one more. That was two more. I need one. I also highly recommend using the scaling here. 0.05 studs is great for like most things. I have very few things that I feel are inadequate with using 0.05 stud spacing. That looks awesome. That is actually so cool. I mean, we're gonna have to do some detailing, obviously. We'll put reeds in, kind of around. Actually, we might not put reeds in, but we're gonna put stuff in we'll add some more. We need to do the telegraph lines. The telegraph lines are going to come like probably through here somewhere. This is really cool. All right, guys, that's all I have time for today. But I thank you all for tuning in. This has been a really fun build, and we'll be sure to get more done tomorrow, or no, I'll be posting lots of this stuff like on the pages, so you guys will all be able to see it. Anyways, thanks guys. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I think we'll end it there. As I absolutely down some ice. Thank you all for watching, and catch you next time. It's been fun. Bye. Bye, Mark. See you later, buddy. I'll catch you on the flip side. You have fun sleeping. And yeah. That's all we have time for today, folks.